Okay. That sound works. Does this sound work?
What's happened here?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Close that down. And so I can pop my chat out. Beautiful. Oh God. I think I'm good to go. Oh wait, one more thing. Yeah. I should keep OBS open so I can keep an eye on if it's crashing or not. Cool. Okay. This is still kind of a test stream, because I wanted to see how my internet holds up on like higher use hours of internet. On like a T-Mobile in-home internet hotspot thingy. I'm on Wi-Fi, so it did really good at 6 o'clock in the morning the other day. But that was like low end test. This is the more heavy duty test. So that's why. Hey Xander. I actually do plan on doing a call-in show, but not like just hey, come and talk to me. It would be specifically like an advice show that's different than the relationship advice show, where people can ask me for either good advice or bad advice. They can tell me their thing, and if they want good advice or bad advice, I give them that. I also thought about doing a call-in show, like literally called "This Is Therapy," because I'm not a therapist, so I'm not violating any ethical lines. I've strongly considered that. I think that'd be fun and funny. Yeah, I was gonna watch this regardless of streaming, so I figured why not stream it. Every single thing, all the comments on this I saw were shitting on Destiny, and I was told by somebody in the Twitch Bowl community, just because it's so hot, I'm just not going to say names, that I guess Destiny is, his position on all the Trump stuff is pretty well supported, but I have no idea. I thought that it wasn't. I thought the people are super pissed off at him, because that's all I've seen. But maybe I'm just going to blame the Twitter algorithm then. No, it's not the Drowsy hotline. He's just saying stuff. I'm gonna watch this debate, and then I'm gonna talk about why I think that Boogie's being abused by the Local show, whatever the fuck it's called. Local Live, there we go. So
no one can yet give a legitimate explanation.
But you're clearly
I don't think I'll get DMCA'd for this, but I've seen other people that have streamed it, so hopefully not.
implying that it is odd. Yeah, go ahead. Tell me your lunatic conspiracy theory about how odd.
I don't have any.
If you say to me,
I've been told by
listen.
I've been told by many experts in the last 36 hours.
There's an entire cultural machine that has lied. There is an entire
we just saw it in real time. That's it.
What?
That's why conservatives deserve absolutely zero sympathy.
You sound almost gleeful, Destin, and I'm sorry. That makes you, frankly, despicable.
I'm not going to get on my knees and beg for forgiveness or show sympathy.
He's lost some fucking weight, huh? His face is a lot skinnier.
I'm not asking for that. I'm asking you to condemn what happened as an egregious attack on democracy. Can you do that?
No, I won't. No, I won't. I won't.
You can't do that. You see, so why the hell,
Absolutely
frankly,
not.
Destiny,
Absolutely not.
why the
Absolutely
hell should we
not.
listen to a
Absolutely not.
word you have to say? Former President
That's not good. I think it's easy enough to condemn it and then still say everything else Destiny said that I've seen him say.
Trump is the king of the political comeback, but even by his own lofty standards, the past 4 days have been utterly sensational. After coming within a hair's breadth of assassination, last night he made a stunning return to the spotlight of the RNC. And for once, the gravity of the occasion was not lost on him.
J. Trump.
We are grateful for you
Really sad looking dude.
to be our nominee for the 47th President of the United States of America.
By the way, does everything sound good? Do I have to adjust any sound? If I do, just tell me, and I will. The audio setup is not optimal right now. I don't have my boom arm set up. I don't have anywhere to set it up yet. I should take this.
Well, Trump hasn't made an entrance quite like that since he descended the golden escalator in 2015 to announce his first run for president. Bandaged and emotional, he walked into the arena like a UFC star and got the reception to match.
Hey, leader.
Well, the many people who've...
By the way, leader, maybe tomorrow? I don't know. I know it's really old, but I wanted to watch the thing that you had sent to me. I saved it to stream it because you said you wanted to see me stream it. And you're homie, so I'll take your word that it was interesting, or that you said that you think that I would find it interesting or something. Like, it's been a while, but like Stardust and Sunday.
Criticised security failings at his rally on Saturday. We're quick to point out that his detail this time round seemed to be made up entirely of strapping men. But the focus of the night was undoubtedly Trump himself, a man who now looks like he's seriously preparing for a return to running the country. President Biden, meanwhile, fumbled questions about his own incendiary rhetoric in the lead up to Saturday's shooting.
It was a while, yeah.
You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that
I didn't say
word
crosshairs. I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was, what I guess I was talking about at the time was there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him. Focus on what he's doing.
What a pathetic excuse from, frankly, an increasingly pathetic president.
A pretty unfair question, too. Sound is fine. Destiny's take is based. Not optically pragmatic or moral to do, but he's known to make dehumanizing jokes, so this is nothing new. That's almost exactly the take I had like 2 mornings ago.
Let's be crystal clear. Nobody thought Biden was talking about archery when he used the word bullseye, and he knows it. The presidential move would have been to say that everyone on all sides needs to dial down their incendiary rhetoric. But this president hasn't looked presidential for a long time now. One positive move Biden's made in the fallout from the tragedy on Saturday is to finally order the Secret Service to protect R.F. Kennedy Jr. The last thing America needs right now is yet more political violence, especially involving a Kennedy. Well, in a moment, we'll meet tonight's panel to debate all this. But
is RFK in danger right now? I think that's a weird thing to say. Okay.
Joining me now is a former counter sniper in the State Department and the current Florida Republican Congressman Corey Mills. Corey Mills, thank you very much indeed for joining Uncensored. First of all, I can't think of anyone better equipped in the political world than you to comment on what appears to have been a massive failing by the Secret Service on Saturday in their duty to protect President Trump. What did you make of it?
Well, I just wanted to say
I think it's weird to bring a sniper on.
I really loved your monologue.
Actually, I don't care about any of this. This isn't what I'm here for.
Host of the Dave Rubin Show, Dave Rubin, co-founder of the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, and the Outkick host, Charlie Arnold. Well, welcome to all of you.
He sees ad blocker, but ad blocker, like, if you have it running on YouTube, it like YouTube fucks over your CPU super hard. It makes like, yeah, it just affects YouTube. It just makes YouTube like unusable. I don't know if they got around that.
Check Yuga, we've spoken a lot about this presidential race over the last year. Where are we now with this? Is it right to assume that two things have happened as a result of this attempted assassination? One is that Donald Trump has got exponentially more popular because people feel a real empathy with him for what happened. And secondly, that Joe Biden is more likely than not now to remain the Democrat nominee.
I'm not gonna lie, it is very hard to believe that Biden can beat Trump anymore. The debate was super bad. The debate was like humiliatingly bad, and then I don't think anything could have happened to strengthen Trump more than this. This is like the best case scenario for getting votes for him, I think. Fucking insane. We're so fucked.
So there's no reason to unilaterally surrender to Donald Trump now, but that's what it looks like the Democrats are doing. So I hope.
To be clear, I'm not saying surrender or anything like that. I'm saying that it's hard to be optimistic. But if you're not optimistic, that means maybe if you're actually, hey, chill. If you're actually active and you're doing stuff on the ground, you just need to work harder. Hey, dogs.
That they pick up the campaign to oust Biden again, because he's clearly not going to win. All the interviews are disasters. I don't want to surrender to Trump, but apparently Democratic officials are considering it, which would be just keeping Biden in the race. That is a form of surrender, because they don't want to waste any of their so-called talent because they're so despondent about the race. I think that's pathetic.
Who thinks that? You said they're still surprisingly close in the polls. I'm not that surprised, but I think that Republicans are going to be way more emboldened to turn up and vote than they would have been. I can't believe what Sank just said.
Called talent because they're so despondent about the race. I
don't think anybody thinks that. If the Democrats thought they had a better choice to put up instead of Biden, they just would. It doesn't make any fucking sense at all. Why would they not? I don't know, waste any talent. If you have somebody that's talented, as he says, which is a weird way to phrase it, even if they lost, that still helps get your best out in front of everybody. Like, dumb.
That's pathetic.
Fucking dumb.
They should fight. And if they have a new
a big sympathy, yeah. I also think that it's probably one of the best things that could have happened in terms of him getting more votes from undecided people. I think it helped decide a lot of people.
ticket, they still have a perfectly good chance of beating Donald Trump. Now, I do want to say, though, there's a second topic here. Your interview with Corey Mills, Representative Mills there, I think it was dangerous and wrong. So you guys said, oh, well, you know, this shouldn't be a partisan thing and we should turn down the rhetoric. And then you implied that maybe the Secret Service or the Biden administration allowed the shooting to happen.
Well, no,
that's
nobody.
Nuts.
No,
That's not
hang on.
turning.
Nobody.
No,
nobody
you
implied
definitely
that.
did.
No,
You
nobody
definitely
implied.
did, Piers.
Well, I certainly did.
You kept talking about, well, look, I'm not saying.
Wait, did he say I certainly did? Or
Conspiracy did.
And
You
nobody
definitely did, Piers.
Well, I certainly did.
You kept talking about, well, look, I'm not saying conspiracy theory.
I didn't finish the Mr. Destiny arc. This is I'm gonna be picking up the normal stuff that I do after this one, assuming this one goes good. This is like my hard test for streaming. The other day when I did it, it was like super early in the morning, when not a lot of people are gonna be using the network. But right now it still seems really good. I did a speed test. It was like 300 down, like 25 up, which was really good, and we're holding really strong. So this seems like it's going to go really well. Assuming everything goes really smooth, then I'm going to pick that back up. I just don't want it to get interrupted at all, because it's kind of like a chronological kind of series that I've done, and I don't want anything to like fuck that up in the middle of it if I don't have to risk that. And also, I kind of wanted like 1 or 2 streams just to be able to like I'm streaming again before I jump back into that. But yeah, that'll. There's only a couple left, so I'll be doing that in the near future too.
But hey,
Thanks
it's
for
so
asking.
easy to
Well,
find.
just
Why
to
didn't they
correct you,
find
Jake,
it?
just to
You
correct-
didn't, and you didn't
Hang
just
on.
say negligence.
Hang on, I didn't.
And forget about you, Corey Mills.
Right, okay.
He didn't say,
Just to
"Oh,
be
hey,
clear,
look, hey."
okay.
He said maybe it's
Let
not
me
just
respond.
malpractice. Maybe it's not just negligence.
I didn't.
What does
I
that
didn't
mean?
say that.
Is
I
a
didn't-
lunatic suggesting?
Dude is freaking out like 5 seconds out of the gate. He didn't even say hi.
Am I allowed to respond?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I didn't say anything that you've just said. Secondly, he did raise the spectre that there's something very odd about all this. And by the way, there is. I'm not a conspiracy theorist either. But the idea that the President Trump, who was recently the President of the United States and is very likely to be again, was shot from 150 meters by a kid with an AR-15 who was seen by spectators nearly a minute before he unloaded 8 bullets in the direction of Donald Trump
8 shots?
is very, very strange. And if you don't think it is, then I think you're being a little bit disingenuous. Now, what is the nature...
So you are...
I mean, everything that I've heard about the guy who did it is strange, but I won't let I'm not letting myself really take in anything about that until we get more information about him. Everything that's been laid out so far that we know about just lends itself to conspiracy theory way, way, way too much.
What is the nature of that strangeness? We don't know what's happened here, right? But no one can yet give a legitimate explanation as to why this could possibly have happened.
Piers, if you say it's negligence, I'm with you. If you say it's malpractice, okay, I get it. 160 feet, why is he on the roof, etc. But you're clearly implying that it is odd, as in not negligence, but something that was planned.
No, it's weird. That's fair to say. It's weird.
No,
by the government.
No, I'm not. I don't know.
Hey, get out of here, man. What the hell? Jesus Christ with these lunatic Republicans.
Was that that was
lunatic Republicans? Yeah, go ahead. Tell me your lunatic conspiracy theory about how odd.
I don't have any lunatic conspiracy theories. Do you not think it's odd, Cenk Uygur?
I don't watch the Young Turks very much. Is he always this crazy? Like fucking wired up? Holy
This
shit.
kid could
crazy
stroll across a roof unmanned and just fire off 8 bullets at President Trump from 150 meters. Do you not find that odd?
So I find it deeply troubling. I think that there should be an investigation to see how they screwed this up. I think the fact that they didn't get there on the roof quicker speaks poorly of them. On the other hand, can we acknowledge that the Secret Service surrounded the president and would have taken a bullet for him and would have died for him? But all they're getting now is odd conspiracy theories about how
he usually has some energy too. Is he usually this heated? Like out of the gates? This is jarring.
Maybe aren't you implying? Hold on, Piers. You tell me. Aren't you implying that they let it happen?
No.
Aren't you implying that?
No.
Obviously, what does odd mean? What is?
I'm not implying anything other than like highly outside of expectations for sure.
What does odd mean?
No,
Go
I'll
ahead,
tell you what
odd means.
I'll tell you what odd means. Odd means that the Secret Service's primary function is to preserve the life of whoever is president of the United States, right? And they allowed this roof to be unmanned.
Allow. You use the word allow.
Okay, somebody made a decision not to have that roof patrolled, even though, as
you
we've
don't
heard,
even know that.
Hang on. Well, somebody did because it wasn't patrolled.
No, that's also not true.
Well, it is.
So look,
it is true.
Piers, we don't know the last time they looked at that roof. We don't know if they looked at it and then the guy crawled on.
Here's what we do know.
Now you mentioned.
Hold
Hold on.
There was nobody on the roof from the Secret Service. Why?
So you're telling me that you know that under Biden, Trump, and all the other presidents, that every roof had a Secret Service person on it in every rally. You don't know that. You don't know that.
Can you ever remember a president or presidential candidate who was a president giving a speech at a public rally where a roof 150 meters from his head is unprotected by Secret Service? Can you name once
ever that that's happened? How the hell
would I know is a pretty fair answer to that. I mean, in all fairness, there's Secret Service around Bush when he almost choked to death on a pretzel.
Piers, how the hell would you know that? You don't know anything.
I am told
so
by...
if you say to me, hold on. If you say to me...
I've been told by... I've been told by many experts in the last 36 hours.
Like that lunatic Republican you just had on.
It feels like Senk has, like, little man syndrome. Like, like, you know, when somebody's like really short, so they're like super aggressive all the time. That feels like maybe because he's like a YouTube pundit and he's on like a mainstream media's pundits YouTube, that he's like trying to puff up his chest or something. That's the best. That's the best way I can make sense of this energy. It's wild.
Who's an expert?
Actually, no.
Talking about, oh my God, oh yeah, I'm not
Well,
sure.
well, he was
I don't
also-
think it's just
okay.
negligence. Then what does that mean?
Okay.
Then you think it was allowed?
Actually,
you
the
think it was
congressman.
planned?
Actually,
Who planned it? Who planned it?
Actually, the congressman that I spoke to was on the sniper protection detail for Joe Biden when he was vice president.
He's like the antimatter version of Alex Jones. What the fuck? You get heated times, especially if you think someone is doing some fuck shit. He almost fought Alex Jones physically. I'm not surprised at all. Yeah, he feels like the same energy, just directed it in the exact opposite direction of Alex Jones. And maybe Alex Jones could probably talk faster, but
He probably knows more about it
feels
than you
very
do,
similar.
with great respect. Unless you're about to tell me you are a covert sniper protector, are you?
No, I'm telling you that we don't know anything about when they checked the building. We do know that there was the red-haired guy who talked to the BBC. He told the cops, then the cops showed up. It's not like they didn't show up. And so if you say, hey, we should investigate and find out when was the last time they did the perimeter check? When did they get on that roof? I totally agree. If you say negligence, I totally agree. If you say Trump was brave in that moment, I totally agree. But if you start implying, which you definitely are, and Corey Mills definitely is, that it was planned or that it was so odd that it happened. You're saying it like the Epstein thing was odd. The Epstein thing was actually odd. So the video camera's out. That makes me think, yes, there was something planned. I'm brave enough to say that. Instead, you're implying it. Corey Mills is implying it. So just say it then.
No.
Don't tell. What does odd mean?
Okay, again, I will say to you, I am not saying anything was planned. I'm not saying there was any inside job at the Secret Service to allow this to happen. I am simply saying...
You're implying that. You get that, right?
Here's what I'm implying.
You're implying that?
Here's what I'm implying.
The viewer's going to think.
Here's what I'm implying. There was such a catastrophically negligent failure here by the Secret Service. I completely understand why so many people are utterly bemused that this could ever have been allowed to happen. The idea you have a perfect vantage point over Donald Trump from 150 meters at a public rally, given how divisive and polarizing he is, given how vehemently some people hate him, and given the threats of violence he's had on many, many occasions, the idea that that roof remained unmanned by Secret Service is, to me, very bloody odd, Cenk. Yes.
So you're implying that there is a chance that it was planned?
No, I'm not. I'm implying that
that's literally what you just said.
Literally what I'm doing is implying that
this is absolutely Twitch poll level looping. And the fact that it's just worse because nobody's cutting them off to tell them that they're looping.
There's something we don't know about what's happened here, and we need some answers.
Then what would it be?
We need some answers I have no idea. I don't know. Now, let me go to some of the other panelists, because we've expended a lot of energy on this.
God.
I think, Jake, you have to go, so I appreciate you... I appreciate you calling me a conspiracy theorist. Thank you for joining me. Let me go to Dave Rubin.
Anytime.
All right, thank you. Let me go to Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin, this is the problem. If you can't raise questions, serious questions about what's happened here, or suggest that it's odd, without being branded a conspiracy theorist by people like Cenk Uygur, there's a bit of a problem, isn't there? I mean, it seemed to me, not just negligence. There's something very strange about this whole incident and how it unfurled. I have never seen members of the public nearly a minute before a shooting at a...
Oh, that was all the time he had? Whew. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm
president raising the alarm and telling people the guy's on the roof. Have you?
Yeah, well, Piers, I haven't been on camera with that guy in about 8 years, but I'm just reminded of the brain-piercing, serious headache you get listening to him. You just laid out very calm and cogent questions as to what happened to the man who is the ex-president and could be future president of the United States. There was either a catastrophic failure, which we're all acknowledging, or something more nefarious. All we can do is ask questions. The red-headed guy with the visor who was interviewed on the BBC saying that it was probably about 2 minutes, and we'll find out the exact details on that.
It's almost certainly negligence.
About 2 minutes before, where he was warning law enforcement that there was someone on the roof. Well, in 2 minutes, Piers, right now, I have an IFB in my ear. I have a microphone right here. That's what all of the agents around there have. And they're all connected to a network of people who are telling them where to look and what to do. I'm not of course, and I'm not an expert in this, but we all know this. Corey Mills happens to be an expert, and your interview was quite good with him. So the idea that 2 minutes went by and nobody looked at the roof, and by the way, the Secret Service director is now saying the reason they didn't have anyone staged on that roof was because there was a slope on the roof.
It's nonsense.
And they didn't want one of their agents to get hurt. I mean, I've got roofers out on my roof right now. There's a little bit of a slope. They have special shoes. They make it work. The whole thing is insane. But I would say at the political level,
I've done roofs and I didn't have no special shoes.
This has re-energized not just the Trump base, which was energized, but this new wide swath of disaffected liberals and UFC fighters and NFL players and just good, decent Americans to realize that Donald Trump is not the enemy right now. And this fake call for unity. Yes, I would like unity in a land of unicorns and everything else, but you can't on one day spend 4 years basically calling the guy Hitler and his supporters Nazi. Then he gets shots, and now we should have unity is just nonsense.
That's bad faith. He had me a little bit there up until that point. No. The reason why the calls for unity is bullshit is because it's the people that are calling for unity aren't. I know they're not. I know that conservatives aren't trying to unify anything. That's
and also for the current president of the United States to be asked, do you have any soul searching about the language you've used, given that days before this shooting, he told donors that it was time to put Trump in the bullseye, and then he tries to dance his way out of this by claiming, I didn't say crosshairs, as if somehow when you talk about human beings, bullseye or crosshairs mean any difference. Obviously, he didn't mean
all politicians that are getting mainstream attention use what's the word extravagant lingo. This is dumb. This is a dumb talking
I think Donald Trump should be shot. But obviously, if you're a deranged young lunatic with an impressionable mind, who the hell knows what that kind of language? We don't know yet, right, about any of the motivation. Apparently, there's a kind of
shit, imagine if a president said we need to fight like hell and take our country back.
Very, very strange. Again, a very strange lack of information that they've been able to find out about this young shooter.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best way to make money on Amazon is...
Of course, but you also have to understand that there has been an entire media machine, mainstream media machine and Democrat elite that for years, since before Donald Trump was president, have been calling him Hitler and his supporters Nazis. What would someone do if they truly believe that? I'm not directly linking this to Biden's bullseye comment, as irresponsible as it may be, or anyone else's specific comment. But over time in culture, if things get normalized, and yes, this man is going to put us in camps, and you can turn on MSNBC on any given day, and they're talking about how they're all going to be arrested and taken off the air, and what he's going to do to minorities.
I've never seen that.
Minorities and gays and everything else. All utter, complete nonsense. At some point, people might get a subtle message and then do something crazy. Again, we don't know if that was what happened right now, but we certainly can ask about it.
And I think
he wasn't asking about it. He was laying it out. He was laying it out and saying this is what happened, and then trying to frame it. I don't like him either.
To be completely fair, I believe Donald Trump has spouted a lot of very ill-advised and occasionally very dangerous rhetoric. And I want both sides to dial it down, because actually where this leads to is where it's led to. And in Britain, we've had 2 members of parliament in the last 10 years murdered by people for political reasons, basically because, lunatics have wanted to eliminate them. Let me bring in Destiny, because you've been at the centre, as you know, of a massive online response to what you were saying. And I want to go through what you said, and I want to talk to you about this hopefully in a calm manner to try and understand.
Give me 1 sec. I gotta get some water. Okay, I'm back.
what you were thinking. So on Saturday evening, hours after the shooting, you said, let me clarify, when I say conflicted, what I mean is I lean towards seeing it as a natural extension of the thing Trump and the MAGA kids support. So I don't think I have much sympathy about the attempt enough to chastise people celebrating it. You couldn't find it in your heart to chastise people for celebrating the near assassination of a man who was president of the United States and maybe again?
Absolutely not. Conservatives have completely bled that well dry. And the idea that they, after engaging in the most divisive and most extreme rhetoric that this country has seen in recent history, that they would come on and beg for sympathy, that it's escalated into some kind of violent confrontation is absolutely insane. Even the idea right now of saying, well, if you call somebody a Nazi for so long, it's, what do you expect people to do? I grew up listening to Rush Limbaugh call Obama a communist every single day he was on the radio. You've got conservatives that talk about how the mRNA vaccines were ways to sneak microchips into us. You've got COVID lockdowns that were done because the government was trying to take all your freedom away. They won't acknowledge anything that happened on January 6th. They say that the election was stolen and that your country is being taken from you. Like, I don't think anybody should be killed. I don't think anybody should go out and kill anybody. But when you engage in this type of rhetoric and when you turn the temperature up over and over and over and over again, there is absolutely no room for you to be shocked or surprised. And there certainly isn't room for you to ask for sympathy.
But you say, but Destiny, you say you don't want anybody killed. And yet you say, I don't think I have much sympathy about the attempt to chastise people celebrating it. People celebrating the near assassination of Donald Trump. If you can't find it in you to chastise people who do that, aren't you just as despicable as the people you've just spent the last 2 minutes haranguing?
No, because they've led the way. This is the environment that they've created.
So you just...
I understand. I think that the more quite some faces on the screen there. Good pause. I think the more level-headed way to say that is that I wouldn't have asked for it to happen, but like there's a tremendous amount of relief that would be felt by a lot of people if they knew that Trump could not possibly be president anymore. How well his like the people around him are ready to make change for what most people would say, most people on the left would say for significantly worse to this country. It would be a big relief if you just knew that, like, okay, that's definitely not going to happen. And it's hard not to empathize with that. So, like, I think that celebrating is just like a more obnoxious extension of that. Oh no, my camera. Shit. Is the stream still going? No, stream's still going. What happened to my camera? What the fuck? There we go. All right, we're good.
So you think behaving like the people you think are despicable is the correct course of action?
Not about behaving like the people who are despicable would be leading that type of rhetoric. It would be denying every single bad thing. How many times as a liberal? How many times as a liberal have you been on a show? Not you in general, but like a liberal been on a show and you've been forced to disavow all of the BLM riots, disavow all of the violence, and blah blah blah. And then you talk to conservatives about it. January 6th, that was
that's good.
Flag. Yeah. January 6th. Oh, like conservatives disavow January 6th?
Wait. First off, there's an entire cultural machine that has lied. There is an entire
we just saw it in real time. That's it.
What?
That's why conservatives deserve absolutely zero sympathy for anything that happens as a result of their rhetoric. That's it. It's so easy. Like, it's so simple.
Okay, but
I'm not exactly sure what he's talking about, but I would say this is the type of person that the internet has broke their brain, thus leaving them with very little empathy for their
Destiny's right, though. Conservatives by and large, when they engage with political topics, they engage with a fantasy they've created. They have this narrative that is based on bullshit. Things that are specifically not true, but they fight for it with the audacity of somebody who is arguing something that they know for a fact is true. I think that's what makes it so hard. And why it's I don't know if it's like a self-inflicted delusion where they just like bullshitted so long they think a lot of the shit they say is true, but like I think it's impossible to argue a lot of the big conservative talking points without being at least delusional, if not like outright knowingly lying.
Human. I mean, a good, decent father is now dead because of this. He's had his brains blown out because he was defending his wife and daughter. I would hope that you have a little empathy for that.
Well,
That.
Let me jump in there because we have a clip of what Destiny has said about that very thing. Let's listen to this.
Fuck it. Fuck the dude, the firefighter guy. Fuck Trump. Fuck the people that support him. I just want you to know, okay, just in case you're confused or it seems like I'm, whatever. If one of you were in the crowd and you're a conservative fan of mine and you end up, getting blown away or whatever the fuck, I'm making fun of you the next day on Twitter. I am 100%.
I mean, I got to say, I just found that repulsive, Destiny.
I wish that there is no room. There is no room for the hand wringing, and I will not participate in this anymore.
Oh, it's not hand wringing.
The hand wringing. No, it absolutely is.
No, it's just that you are positioning yourself.
So well.
No, but Destiny, let me explain to you.
Conservatives can say anything.
No, I'm not a conservative.
They can have any conspiracy theory.
I'm not a conservative.
They can have any plot. They can do anything, and then liberals are supposed to
say, I'm not a conservative. She didn't say that you were. He's explaining what.
You'd be like,
Destiny,
oh my God, it's so tragic.
No, Destiny,
absolutely not.
Let me explain.
Absolutely.
Let me explain my position because I'm not a conservative. I'm not on either side in your race, right? Here's what I think about what you did. You'd like to fire off, as you've done so far in this debate, about your fury at how disgusting Republicans are, how inhumane they are, how they never have any empathy, blah, 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 blah. And then you yourself actually are exactly the person that you're describing. You are inhuman. You are somebody who seems almost gleeful that a young firefighter with a family, with a wife and children, who he was protecting as he was shot dead, that he deserved what was coming to him because he went to a President Trump rally, a man who was President of the United States until recently for 4 years and maybe again. You sound almost gleeful, Destin, and I'm sorry. That makes you, frankly, despicable.
I don't think I'm gleeful about anything. I don't think anybody should die. I don't think anybody deserves to die. But you want to talk about gleeful? Look at the conservative response to Pelosi's husband when they broke in.
I can answer that.
Mainstream media figures.
Honestly, this is the perfect rebuttal. Because I know, like, there's no way to argue that. There's nothing that you can say that actually deals with that and lets you hold the position that Piers is trying to hold.
I don't care.
I can answer that.
With all due respect, I don't care what your answer is.
Let me answer that.
The reality is that conservatives have been turning the temperature up on the rhetoric. They have been making fun of these types of events for years, and now when something happens to them, now they're looking for sympathy from the liberal side. Absolutely not. It's insane. It's unhinged that you can conduct yourself in such a manner and expect people to feel sorry when things happen.
Why should anybody on the right listen to a word of your hectoring and lecturing about how they should behave? And by the way, for the record, the mockery of Nancy Pelosi's husband when he was attacked by an intruder with a hammer was also despicable, right? I can see despicable behavior on all sides, and I'm happy to call it out when I see it. You, however, want to present yourself as this great kind of standard bearer of decency who sees outrageous behavior on the right time and again and is incensed by this disgusting, inhumane behavior. And yet time and again, since the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, you have displayed exactly the same kind of inhumane behavior. Fuck him about a fireman who is killed because he attends a rally of a guy he wants to vote for.
My issue with the MAGA kids is not that they are not empathetic. My issue is that they support a president that led an insurrection against the United States. I'm not here to tone police over their empathy.
80 million people voted for Donald Trump last time round.
That's great. 80 million people voted for a guy that tried to insurrect the government, and it looks like they might try to do it again. I mean, like, I don't know what you want me to say. These are the facts on the ground. The idea that
that's the take that I'm like most sympathetic to. I think it is it feels treasonous to support him after that. That's really, really crazy to me.
You don't like attacks on democracy, so presumably you would unreservedly condemn the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, because that's one of the most egregious attacks.
I don't see how you can suggest that leftist rhetoric led to this. I don't see how you could say anything about Biden making the bullseye comment leading to this and then not just completely throw out any it wasn't an insurrection talk. It's just done. You can't hold
attacks on American democracy in modern times. Presumably, you will take this opportunity, given you are so determined to protect the integrity of democracy, you would find it absolutely outrageous that someone has tried to assassinate a president, right?
If the other conservatives on this show want to say that it was absolutely outrageous
that
Donald Trump attempted to coup the government,
I'm asking you.
Then maybe I would. Yeah, no, I'm not going to get on my knees and beg for forgiveness or show sympathy to conservatives.
I'm not asking for that. I'm asking you to condemn what happened as an egregious attack on democracy. Can you do that?
No, I won't. No, I won't.
You can't do that. You see, so why the hell, frankly, Destiny,
absolutely not.
Why the hell should we listen to a word you have to say about...
Why do you think conservatives haven't been listening to a word that liberals have said about anything for 8 years?
Right,
what do you think is going to change?
They?
You think that liberals come out now and they go, "Oh my God, this was so horrible"?
But here's
you think
my
they're going
point.
to go, "Wow, that is true."
Charlie,
he's right. He's saying it in the most provocative way possible, but he's 100% right.
Charlie, I'll bring you in at the end of this, I promise you, and you'll get a good chance to respond. But here's my problem, Destiny, with your whole position on this, right? Is that you don't actually have anything inside you that you...
We're coming back after Trump left us behind. More jobs, more small businesses, more construction. Joe Biden is making sure we get a fair shot.
The American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told.
EVE Online is a...
You want the other side to have. You don't have any of the empathy. You don't have any sympathy. You don't care that someone tried to assassinate Donald Trump.
You don't.
Let's see what happens.
Yes, I promise you, and you'll get a good chance to respond. But here's my problem, Destiny, with your whole position on this, right? Is that you don't actually have anything inside you that you want the other side to have. You don't have any of the empathy. You don't have any sympathy. You don't care that someone tried to assassinate Donald Trump. You don't care that a young fireman with a family was killed in the process. You don't actually. You are not the person you want these other people to be. And all you do is play whataboutery with every question I give you. And I'm just startled.
It's not what about it. We're talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about the temperature of this country. But here's a question for the two panelists. What percentage of this event happening was due to Donald Trump's rhetoric? What do they think the answer to that question is?
What percentage could it be that the other side, as we've just heard from Dave Rubin, has spent 8 years calling Donald Trump the new Adolf Hitler, a person who was responsible for the murder of 12 million people, including 6 million Jewish people in a Holocaust. Last time I checked, Donald Trump hasn't murdered 12 million people. So much as you would like him to be the new Hitler, he's not. But again...
So hyperbole versus insurrection is the argument.
To an impressionable young deranged mind who has easy access...
Hyperbolic words versus the most extreme actions.
Access to guns, that can be easily interpreted as an existential threat, said President Biden. Somebody that needs to be put in the bullseye, said Biden.
Okay,
only last week. And guess what? Guess what? Somebody then comes forward.
I feel like that's like low tier Twitch poll argument right there. That is not mainstream media pundit argument. That's bad. The bullseye argument is the worst argument to make, period.
forward and tries to kill the existential threat.
Rhetoric. Who is engaged in more divisive rhetoric over the 8 years? If you had to guess, if you had to assign a rough percentage,
again, you're playing whataboutery. Again, you're deflecting. Just as
it's not what
Joe Biden did.
It's literally the conversation they're having
last night. Just as Joe Biden did with Lester Holt on NBC last night. Every time he was asked, "Have you done any soul searching about your own rhetoric, your own ill-advised use of language?" He deflected it back to attacks on Trump. And you're doing exactly the same thing with Republicans.
And I will do the exact same thing.
You say Republicans
you want Biden
you say
to
that they are lacking
bullseye
in
comment when Donald Trump was saying Second Amendment people could maybe do something about Hillary Clinton. Like, no, it's absolutely deranged. The double standard that's being asked here is insane. And
it's not even a double standard. The Second Amendment thing is indefinitely worse. The bullseye comment is completely innocent. Everybody knows that. You engage with that in good faith. You know it. You're not guessing. It's not very likely. You know that he didn't mean anything like that.
You heard both of them say it earlier. How much did Donald Trump's rhetoric contribute to the current environment? Oh, not much at all. Like, no, I'm not going to say anything to these people. Of course not.
You see, Destiny,
seem oddly unversed in any of the current events that have happened over the last couple of years. First off,
people who say that 100% bad faith. Even if Trump's your favorite person in the world, you know that Donald Trump's rhetoric has been the most volatile, the most shit stirry of, I wouldn't even say modern time, probably of any president ever.
Politics is downstream from culture, right? And what has happened to our culture in the last 8 years? What has happened to our culture is that the mainstream media has lied about everything, always to the detriment of right-leaning people, whether it is the Russia hoax or COVID or Brett Kavanaugh's a serial rapist or the Covington kids are racist or Jesse Smollett was hoaxed, was lynched, or whether it was very fine people on both sides. Every single lie always goes against right-leaning people. So they are slightly annoyed and distrustful of people like you and other people in mainstream media who lie about literally everything. So perhaps
literally everything, like biolabs and Nazis in Ukraine, or like mRNA vaccines that are causing 20% excess deaths. There it is. Yeah, or the fact that COVID lockdowns were going to go on forever and it was just an authoritarian abuse of power. Or, yeah, of course. Like, come on, dude. Conservatives are masters of misinformation, and it's happening right here.
All right, let me bring in Charlie. He's been waiting very patiently. Charlie, thank you for being so patient. Things have obviously got quite heated quite quickly. Let me give you your...
I actually expected this to be more good faith than it is. That's pretty crazy.
Your chance now to have your say after what you've been hearing from Destiny.
Yeah, well,
it's like he set up a Twitch panel and he got exactly that.
It's
crazy.
Destiny represents to me a certain subsect of the left, I won't call it everybody, who likes to bully others into saying exactly what they want to hear. And if they don't say it, then you all of a sudden are the problem. And they handle it exactly like he's been handling it on the show. It's like a child throwing a temper tantrum. You can't get a word in edgewise. They just kick and scream and yell until you ultimately say, I've had enough, just say what you want to say and back down. And that's exactly what we see a lot of times from people on the left. And it infuriates me, because just like we saw on Saturday with the near assassination of Donald Trump, which that is exactly what it was. It was an assassination attempt, yet we have, Dave, like you mentioned, all of the mainstream media putting out egregious headlines such as from CNN, Trump removed from stage by Secret Service after loud noises startles former president and crowd, which...
Responsible reporting, only reporting what they know and not stating anything as fact before they know.
Completely
breaking news headlines were
what actually happened.
Accurate. Here it is. This is the conservative. This is the game right now.
It is not accurate.
Right in front of us. It's the lies right now. You know, Fox News ran that same type of
first
headline,
of all,
right?
we are allowed
right?
in this country to ask questions. There was a lot of things that were very off on Saturday,
and other
from the way that the Secret Service handled.
So, I love this country. God bless, I guess. Yeah.
You can see. There you go. He immediately resorts
to
here we go. Here we go. That is exactly the childish demeanor that I'm speaking about. On Saturday,
don't talk over each other. Let me just ask you this, Destiny. You were asked on that clip we played earlier if you'd have the same attitude if it was your parents who'd been killed at a Trump rally. And you replied, it's less end-of-life costs for me. Would I lose sleep over it? No. Do you understand how grotesque that sounds?
It sounds grotesque, but the environment that we're in right now is grotesque.
But why do you want to sound
engage
grotesque?
in
I don't
behavior.
understand.
You cannot engage in behavior
I would give him that. Big balls comment, honestly.
that leads us to this point, that brings us to the precipice, and then say, wait a second, wait, are you taking this a little bit too far?
So just to be clear, hang on, Dave.
We are
Hang on,
exactly here
just to be
because
clear,
of what conservatives have said.
Just to be
over the
clear,
last 8 years.
Destiny,
Here we are.
if it was close members of your family or close friends who had gone to that Donald Trump rally and who'd lost their lives, one did and two are critically ill, wounded, if they had died there, you would lose no sleep over that. Is that your position?
No, of course I would be sad. It would be tragic, of course. And the closer they are to you, the more sad it would be. The same way that if you had a child that, tried to rob a store and the child got killed by the police, that would also be tragic and sad.
So you wouldn't think
but
fuck, you wouldn't
at
think
the end
fuck
of the day,
them because they're your family then. You'd have a different rule for your own loved ones.
Literally everybody does about their own loved ones in every single situation imaginable. The bad point. It's optically good to try to throw at somebody, but it's a meaningless.
I feel more upset if a person very close to me died rather than a person farther away died. Yeah, I think the answer there is yes.
Yeah, but you weren't just
anything.
Just to be clear, you weren't just not upset by the death of that firefighter who'd given great service as a firefighter to his country. You were gleeful and you said fuck him.
Every argument that I've heard on this subject in support of on the other side of what Destiny's saying has been purely emotional. And it's fine to have those responses. It seems weird to have them on a big stage when you're trying to sort this shit out.
Fuck him.
I'm not.
And it seems a little inappropriate.
Would you say fuck them if it was your family and friends?
It was a Trump supporter.
I would say that if
or at least you can have them on a platform this size, but I don't think that it should be the main argument.
If they go to a rally like this and they support an insurrectionist president and something happens to them, I would feel sad on a personal level because they're my parents. But again, I learned from them more than anyone else. I grew up in Nebraska. You learn that if you mess around and if you do dumb stuff, that there are going to be consequences.
And would you think? And would you think? All right. And would you be happy to say, you know what? Fuck them. About your own parents.
His rhetoric is far more dangerous than I've ever heard anything that Donald Trump said. What he's saying right there. Yeah. He is saying you should have no empathy or sympathy for your fellow human. You know, we can all disagree. We can disagree about politics, of course. We can even disagree about how the media frames things and everything else. But he's basically saying show up to a rally and get killed. And that is absolutely psychotic. I'm sorry. And the other part of this that's strange when people are calling for unity right now is if this had happened to Joe Biden, if Joe Biden had been shot at and had part of his ear blown off, the very people calling for unity right now would be calling for the rest of us to be put in jail. So there's a strange asymmetry there as well.
And I would ask this.
The strange asymmetry was Biden trying to make a phone call to the wife of the killed firefighter and her rejecting the call and Donald Trump not even reaching out, okay? That's the asymmetry. When you talk about it's just politics, this is the cancerous brain rot that conservatives have fooled everybody into thinking. It's not just politics to think that vaccines will kill you, okay? I've got 3 dead family members from COVID. My mom won't get a vaccine, okay? After both of them were in the military. These guys went up and down.
I'm not vaccinated, thank God. Nobody
Don't worry, we can all tell.
We
can all tell. My parents went up and down a line when they did basic training for the Air Force. They got 20, 30 vaccines each. My dad has a vaccine injury in his shoulder. And the idea of not getting vaccinated was unconscionable to them until the conservatives spread these messages that are just politics.
Let me ask you this, Destiny. Let me ask you this, Destiny.
Science has shown.
I couldn't agree more. I didn't think I'd come into this just being so as in support of the things that he's saying, but COVID's the best example of political rhetoric being harmful because it killed a lot of people. A lot of people.
That the vaccine
and there is nothing even remotely apologetic about any conservative responses to it. They still hold to it to this day. When we have more data on COVID, probably more than any other disease right now, we have everything. We have effective treatments. We have really effective vaccines, and we just he's been winning me back over as a fan lately, not gonna lie. This is the best I've seen him in so long. There's been like 3 or 4 times where I'm like, that's literally the best argument. It's so on point. So I get it. Yeah, I think that he's crushing it right now, and everybody who's engaging with him has been like extraordinarily bad faith. Piers Morgan, at the very least, he's not responding to what Destiny's saying a lot. So I don't know if I can't remember if I'd say that he was bad faith. I might have said it, but yeah, Destiny's killing it, and these people are their responses are just dumb or bad faith.
Actually, it was one of the worst things you could have done for yourself. Thank God I didn't get vaccinated. I thank God every single day I didn't get vaccinated.
Let's not get. I don't want to get. I don't want to read. I don't.
The science has come out and the facts have come out. Just wrong about what they're saying. I wish he was a little more calm about talking about this, but I can see him being annoyed. When what the fuck did I see? I think it was when I watched Wicked Destiny debate the first time before I streamed about it. I think that it is. I followed politics a lot before streaming, and watching what has happened to the right, and then seeing the entire political landscape turn into what it is today, it's extremely disheartening if you really care about your country, like it being better. If you care about just even like if you're somebody who really cared about having women having the right to choose and seeing that go away, and then seeing what the plans are for a Trump presidency, and seeing how people seem to support him just as much, if not more, after attempting an insurrection, it is extremely difficult to grasp. It's like we're in a wacky like fictional reality. It is so beyond comprehension a decade ago to think that this is what it could be. So I think it's more than just being annoyed. It's like if you're as involved as Destiny's all the time, like it's got to be actually maddening when you're trying to talk to people about what is very clearly happening and everybody can see it, but the people on the opposition just live in like legitimate fantasies about what's going on. It's scary. It's scary. It's difficult. It's frustrating. Beyond belief.
I don't want to get back into COVID. I don't want to get back into COVID, right? Hang on, Charlie.
Asymmetry of it all.
Hang on, Charlie. I don't want to get down into COVID again. I want to stick to this story, and I want to ask you, Destiny, about Elon Musk, who is responded to one X user.
It's smart to get off of COVID because that's 100% a losing battle.
Who was calling for him to demonetize you on the X platform, and he said you're right.
Speaking of, I reached out to him in DMs since I can totally stream again, hopefully soon. But seems confirmed that I'm going to be debating Rob Noor about COVID, and I've never been more confident about a conversation in my entire life. I'm going to try to break it up into like talk about COVID in general topic, Trump's administration's response and vaccines. But like I have to have a moderator though, because he'll just talk and talk and talk, nonstop. But I'm so confident.
Right, this is not appropriate content for advertisers because of the offensive tweets you were aiming at Trump supporters. What is your response to Elon Musk?
The same response as it always has been. Elon Musk is a thinly veiled, I would say, like anti-woke, anti-SJW, basically right-wing supported guy. And if you say things that they don't like, of course they'll demonetize you, they'll cancel you. Conservatives are some of the least principled people in the universe when it comes to freedom of speech. As soon as they have any power to demonetize or spam report somebody's, sponsors or anything like that, of course conservatives will jump onto it. My account also was demonetized, I think, in like 12 hours.
Rob Noor is really good at debate. That should be good. Yeah, he's certainly a lot more seasoned than I am at debate. But I know for a fact that he's wrong about COVID, and I am I'll have to like just brush up because I haven't like talked about it in like over a year. I had to step away from reading about it because it was like the reason why it's my best subject is because I was literally obsessed with learning about it because I'm so germophobic. Like for the whole first year, I probably read, not even probably when I say this way, every single article or study that came out that like I found like Googling. I even trained my Google search to give me articles that disagreed with me. I would go out of my way to look at like what like the conspiracy theory people were saying and stuff, just so that I would get like literally fake news about it as well. So I know like the other side's arguments super well too. They're bad. Yeah, I'm self-proclaimed COVID expert.
Thank you very much, Elon Musk. Although I do notice that my docs has been floating around Twitter for 2 days now, and tons of accounts that I've been reporting that haven't been banned yet, but I'm glad we've got our priorities straight there.
Again, here's what I think we're all struck by. Your position seems to be that anyone from Donald Trump to his supporters who represents their thinking, their ideology, their political views, that if they are killed by an assassin at a rally, then they deserve what's coming to them. And in your words, fuck them. I mean, do you not understand that to most decent Americans and to decent people around the world, that is incredibly offensive and makes you look like a two-faced hypocrite, somebody who wants the other side to behave to a certain level of decency, but is himself incapable of displaying it.
The conservatives
Piers keeps saying that, but Destiny hasn't said that.
Don't have it in them to have that level of decency.
So why don't you rise to a higher bar? Why don't you yourself show them the promised land, Destiny? Show them the way they should be behaving.
After doing it for 8 years, there's nothing to be gained there. So instead, we'll just have a laugh instead. When you're asking for this type of decency, you're saying
I think it's actually insane to think that being more calmed and measured in your responses to conservative insanity will have any impact whatsoever. Destiny's right. It's been tried for 8 years. Probably longer than that. You can't reason with somebody that has a different version of reality.
Like they did for Pelosi's husband, like they did for BLM people, like they did for the endless. He didn't die, but he got the crap beat out of him with a hammer, and they made jokes about his gay lover.
The jokes were disgusting. Why can't you say the same thing about the people making mockery of Trump? Why do you join the mob?
It's not just the jokes. It's the underlying substantive analysis as well. It's the lack of responsibility for January 6th. It's the lack of responsibility for the Gretchen plot. It's the lack of accountability for all the comments made about BLM protesters, George Floyd.
As somebody who lives in Michigan, the people, or let me rephrase this: the things that people have said about Gretchen Whitmer's kidnapping plot is some of the most crazy, unhinged, unjustifiable, evil shit I've ever read in my life.
By your yardstick,
all of these.
By your yardstick, what the Republicans should do in response is simply say, "Fuck all of them, fuck them all. Who cares?"
Piers, that's what you're not understanding. Piers, listen to me. This is what you're not understanding. You keep bringing this up to me, like, well, Destiny, if you act like this, aren't conservatives just going to do?
Back your
and then you
words
say
to
a thing, but they've done this for 8 years.
Right. So the other side is
to do it.
The other side is horrendous. Therefore, I'm going to be even more horrendous. It's so unprincipled.
The horrendous part about the conservatives isn't just the rhetoric; it's the underlying factual denial of reality. That's the biggest. That's the huge issue. That's the big bad
Let me bring Charlie. Let me bring Charlie back to respond to that. Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the opposite. I think that, Destiny, you are completely fueled solely off of emotion, whereas I think that, I'll say conservatives, even though I think that
She's literally... I'm glad that Destiny said what I've been saying throughout this about the moon fantasy, and then she just proves it.
Spans past conservatives when they look at the facts of the summer of BLM, the BLM movement as a whole, January 6th, this assassination attempt. When you look at the facts, things unfold before your eyes, and
I love it when people say look at the facts more times than they bring up facts. She should state the facts then.
They reveal themselves to be actually what they are. There's a lot of evidence that has come forth since all of these events in the past.
Tell us what the evidence is.
Have occurred, and they have shown that exactly what conservatives were saying were absolutely correct. Just like
all she's saying is, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. She's not giving anything of substance to support what she's saying at all. She's just saying, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. So, like, why are you so wrong?
The assassination attempt on Saturday, we look at what went wrong. We look at not only was this one rooftop unguarded, but how did the gunman know that the rooftop was unguarded? Why was it that local law enforcement...
How does she know that he knew that it was unguarded? Philip DeFranco covered this, and his most normie audience thought Destiny won the debate. Oh, good. If you look at the comments on this, it is... Destiny perfectly represents all female leftists. Sink has anger issues like what? Okay. Destiny has meth jaw. How could Destiny say that? I'm no Trump fan, but the same thing happened to Biden. I'd be just as worried or concerned. Sank. Quit giving Destiny a platform. Destiny makes Sank look reasonable. Destiny definitely has mental issues. Yeah, that's good. I think that what he's saying is... He's the only person giving like real examples. What he's saying is just correct. It's correct. I understand not liking how he says it. I have pretty high degree of gallows humor, so I'm laughing at a lot of it. But if I'm laughing, it's pretty safe to say that somebody's going to get upset about what I'm laughing about. So I can understand that part of it totally. I get it. You don't like hearing that kind of thing, but it doesn't make it not true. The factual things that he's stating, the things that can be true or false about what he's saying, they're just true.
Alerted.
And she isn't saying anything factually based. She's just saying, look at the facts. The facts came out. We were right, without alluding to any of them.
The Secret Service
It's such a unbearably weak position to say on a platform this size. It's crazy. How do you make it this far doing that? That's crazy.
Why was it that local law enforcement alerted the Secret Service moments before shots were fired?
There it is. There is actually a very good question.
Do you think January 6th? Do you think J6 was a false flag?
I think January 6th. There's a lot of discussions to be had. I think there's a lot of facts.
A really easy question and a really long answer. Instead of saying no.
Yeah, fuck these guys. Yeah, I will never give sympathy to this side. These guys are destroying the country.
You see, Destiny.
There were agents present. We know for a fact.
Destiny, here's your problem with me.
There were agents present on January 6th. We saw the tourists being ushered into the Capitol building. They're being treated like terrorists. And in fact, several months ago, Vivek Ramaswamy said.
Okay, I said earlier, I think that it feels treasonous to support him. That's I guess I just
it's only fair that we're able to have a decent conversation about all of this.
Okay, let me say what
we're not able to have a conversation about any of it because of people like you.
Let me just say what I think about January 6th, because I wrote it at the time and I believe it today. I thought it was a shameful attack on the heart of American democracy. It was an attempt to thwart democracy taking place. It should never have happened. Everyone involved in any violent act that day was utterly shameful. Donald Trump's rhetoric that day was appalling. All those things are completely true, Destiny. I can happily...
It's a good thing to say. But if you're going to say it's appalling, then give him the credit for starting it. It's appalling because he
subscribe to that.
Neither of your other guests.
But here's the thing:
there was an intentionality there that is undeniable.
Here's the thing:
neither of these guests agree with that.
But if I'm a Republican,
Pierce, do you understand? Pierce,
but if I'm a Republican, but here's the thing, Destiny:
said.
if I'm a Republican listening to you, I'm thinking, hang on. This guy thinks we're all disgusting. We're reprehensible. We have no empathy. We have no this, no that. And yet he himself is proud of being even more disgusting.
Not absolutely. And then I would say, wow, well, nothing has changed from since before COVID, before the vaccines, before J6, when they thought the election was stolen, when they thought that we were forced into lockdowns for no reason, when they thought that George Soros and the World Economic Forum and the IMF banks and everybody were taking over the country and the Federal Reserve was devaluing our currency. Like, it's all the same. Nothing has changed.
Let me ask you this.
I'm curious. Wait, can you ask
one last question,
do they agree with
Destiny?
any part? Do they agree with any part of your characterization of J6?
Destiny, one last question for you. Are you pleased that Donald Trump got shot?
Am I pleased? No, absolutely not.
What is your emotion to the shooting?
My emotion is emotionally what? In terms of his personal health, is absolute indifference.
No. Do you condemn the shooter shooting Donald Trump?
No.
Wow.
Not here, not on this program, not in front of these people. Absolutely
You do not condemn a deranged shooter shooting Donald Trump.
You are truly just a child. This is not.
Actually,
it's
not.
not a
No,
competition
you know
here.
what,
We're
Charlie?
just trying to be decent human
You know what,
beings.
Charlie? It's not actually the behaviour of a child. It's the behaviour of somebody who's completely lost his moral compass and any sense of decency.
You're right. A child wouldn't
And I'm going to go to Dave Rubin. Dave, let me let Dave Rubin respond to what you've just heard from Destiny.
I mean, it's actually one of the most disgusting things that I've ever heard in my life. My entire staff in my studio right now all gasped at that. When I happened to be at Target, the store Target we were checking out when I saw it on Twitter, and my heart actually sank. And I know that that is the feeling of probably 200 plus, if not 300.
Every argument on the right is emotional. It's not an argument based on emotions. It's just an emotional argument. It's just an argument about how they feel. That's it. That's the only thing they have. There's no response to any substantive thing that Destiny's laid out at all. It's crazy. It's par for the course, though. Okay.
100+ million Americans, even many of whom would vote against Trump and do not like Trump and all of those other things. The idea that you can't show sympathy or empathy for that is so profoundly sad. I would also add one other thing here, which is that the reason you're so emotive and screaming beyond the Red Bull, and dude, just ease up, man, it's not healthy for your heart, is that you really don't have good arguments. So you're petulant and screaming.
He has arguments. If you say they're not good, give some real arguments.
As opposed to just trying to work things out. We're allowed to ask questions about these things. But I would hope that you would try, as Piers is pointing out, instead of always reaching for the lowest common denominator and they're bad, so I'll be worse. I would hope that we could try to be a little bit better than that. And by the way, I think that you're seeing that right now at the Republican National Convention. They're not going crazy over all of this. They're applauding the fact that Trump's there. They're rallying.
I think the only actual argument that's been made is that the rhetoric led to it, and it's a bad argument.
Around the new VP choice. And I think you're going to see a wide swath of America that maybe didn't come out for Trump before and they're not traditional conservatives.
I totally agree.
I think you're going to see them support Trump.
I totally agree. And I would say to you, Destiny.
Nothing is more
I would say to
emblematic
you,
of the situation
Destiny.
than the fact that
Destiny.
the VP choice is a guy who's also said that Donald Trump is like Hitler.
Yeah,
I
would
just
say.
think it's the perfect cherry on
he's
top to everything.
apologized for it and said he got it wrong.
Yeah, I would say this to you, Destiny. Lester Holt asked Joe Biden.
He got it wrong. Well, I used to think he was a lot like Hitler, but yeah, I got to know him. He's not too bad.
Biden last night. Has he had any soul searching? Right. I think after this debate, you may want to just go away quietly and think about some of the answers you've given and think about the double standard of demanding a certain pattern of behavior.
Piers Morgan has had this double standard argument the whole time, but it's never been valid. Destiny didn't ask for that. Destiny's not asking for the right. He's saying it's not going to happen, period. I'm not asking for it. I understand how things are. But Piers keeps reiterating this nonstop as though Destiny's asking the right to change their behavior.
The
From
conservatives
others that you
have said
do
there
not
are
sign
no
up to.
more standards
And
in American
you may or may
discourse.
not take
There
my
are no more
advice.
standards.
You may or may not take my advice. I'm just saying, on reflection, you might conclude.
And Destiny's told him every time, I'm not doing that. That's not it. There's no standards.
That the best way to persuade other people to behave in a better way is not to behave in an utterly degrading way yourself. That's all.
I think deleting a YouTube channel only takes one click, Destiny.
Right.
Yeah, right after you, Dave.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all very much to my panel.
I really expected this to be a better debate. I expected it to be a debate. What the fuck? That's crazy. Wow, yeah, okay. I don't have a whole lot else. I gotta go to sleep for work soon, but I wanted to talk about I watched or I listened to while I was at work Destiny talking to Boogie, like the one that just came out today, and I guess Locale Live and the people that run it are they're telling Boogie that he can maybe get his spot on the show back if he agrees to do these things they want to do. One of them is giving his golden play button away to them, and they're going to auction it for charity, for cancer charity, which makes it sound like they're in the right. It's a good way to take a horrible thing that they're doing and put a positive spin on it. If you want to call Boogie out and say, I know you're lying about cancer. If you want to put him, put his feet to the fire about that and make sure that people understand that he's lying, go for it. By all means, it's a fucked up thing to do. Let me make it a little bit bigger. There's nothing on the screen. I fully support that. I fully support calling him out for the crypto scam, trying to persuade him to give people their money back. But to take his position on that show, which Boogie is bad with money. If you watch the documentary, he's super bad with money, and he's in a terrible financial situation. You're basically holding income source over his head, and they're not giving him any clear terms either. Not saying, okay, if you do this, then you can stay on the show. They're not. They just keep, and they said if he can't drink Mountain Dew anymore. These things are like oddly personal and like psychologically fucky. And there's not even any guarantee that he can keep his state. Like, they're abusing a mentally ill guy. That's what's happening. Like, if you don't think Boogie is mentally ill, I don't know by which process you make decisions or determinations about things. It's crazy. Boogie's clearly mentally ill. I don't think the show's the best thing in the world for him, but they're using their position of power over him to essentially just torture this guy. And I don't think Boogie's a good person. I think he's a shitty guy. But I don't think that we condemn people or condone people behaving this way in like any other situation. I think if people didn't know so much about Boogie so that they didn't have like personal feelings about how much they dislike him, it wouldn't be happening. And I've seen some pretty bizarre justifications for it. Like people say, I had somebody tell me like, yeah, but he could just choose not to engage with it. He's so broke and mentally ill that he lies about having cancer. This is somebody who is very easy to manipulate if you have if you hold on to like if you give them a financial incentive to allow them to be manipulated by you, they're gonna be putty in your hands. I think it's just really, really bad. I think it could end really, really bad. I know he pulled the knife out just to sort of like shock and awe there. But like, what more do you need to know that the guy's not okay? It was a fucking stupid thing to do. I think that there's a lot of totally legitimate things to criticize Boogie for. And if you don't like him, just don't watch his shit. Don't support him. You shouldn't feel compelled to support him. But everybody really should not be okay with the abuse of power that the people that run, I think it's called Locale Live. I'm like 90% sure. But the show, you know what I'm talking about. The people that are running it shouldn't be able to abuse them like they are. It's fucked up. And if he it goes so far, like he freaks out and lands himself in prison or hurts himself real bad, everybody's just gonna blame him. All the people that are totally for what's happening, they're just gonna blame him, and nobody's gonna care. That's what I'm afraid of. I think it's really bad. But I don't know if that's a very popular opinion. I haven't seen anybody really talk about that. I wish they would. I think that it's pretty easy to say that the guys that are doing that are doing a bad thing, and it shouldn't be difficult at all to say, hey, somebody who I think is despicable is being abused right now. So yeah, I hope more people can see and call out that they're abusing this guy. Who's, dude, he is, and I say mentally ill, like, Boogie's fucked, dude. Like, there's no part of this guy that's okay. If you haven't watched the documentary, if you want to get a good scope of just how absolutely, like, not good this fella is, it's an impressive case. I don't know when I'm debating Rob Noor. I'm gonna have to talk to him tomorrow or the next day, see if we can set up a date. But Saturday, we have a loose start time, sometime between 6 and 8 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna solidify it on that day, and I'll tweet it and Discord it. I'm gonna talk to Resevere. Long time ago, we set up that we wanted to talk about this. I want to make sure that I get his framing of it right. Where is that? Shouldn't have been that far away. Basically he sees a very cult-like behavior that comes from the Mr. Grill community. The Mr. Grill community having cult-like tendencies. That's, I think, is how it was worded. And I'm pretty interested. I think he was going to make a video on it, and then he just didn't. But he still had, like, he still did his homework and stuff, and he wants to talk about that. I think it'd be a really interesting conversation to have. Because I don't think there's no argument for that. I've certainly seen some interesting things, but I'm not really sure how much I'm going to agree with him on it. But that's the only thing I have for sure set up right now. Aside from, I am going to be finishing the Mr. Grill Destiny bridge collapsing arc of the Mr. Grill Destiny conversations, and then I'll have some other stuff too. This is only the second time I've streamed knowing that it's going to work, so I just kind of plan things out a little more now that I know that seems pretty secure. So yeah, that's all I got for tonight. Thanks for shut up and have a good night.